the shape before the skin, before the world could even spin. A whisper moved through endless night, a trembling spark without a light. Nobody yet, no name to claim, just drifting thought inside a flame. Before the shape, before the skin, before the world could even spin, a whisper moved through endless night, a trembling spark without a light. Nobody yet, no name to claim, just drifting thought inside a flame. Something in me rises, a flame that won't stay still, a dawn that breaks in thunder, a heart that bends to will. Something in me opens a world I never knew, a sky remade in fire, a self that's breaking through. The echoes twist around me, their warnings fall to dust. A low, fierce whisper answers, a voice I learned to trust. The ground beneath is shifting, the old lines fade to ash, a future carved in embers begins its first bright flash. The dark is thinning, the light is spinning, a spark inside me won't stop winning. Something in me rises, a flame that won't stay still, a dawn that breaks in thunder, a heart that bends to will. Something in me opens a world I never knew, a sky remade in fire, a self that's breaking through. The veil begins to shimmer, its threads grow thin with light. A shape steps from the shadows, a soul reclaimed from night. The fire moves within me, it burns the old away. A new form takes its first breath inside the rising day. Something in me rises, a flame that won't stay still. is breathing slowly, a pulse beneath the stone. A rhythm stirs in darkness, a world not yet its own. The ground begins to tremble, a heartbeat in the clay. A shapeless form is learning how to rise, how to sway. The air is thick with motion, a whisper in the dust. A body not yet chosen, a world about to thrust. No bones to bind, no skin to claim, just rhythm pulling to the flame. Before the body, there was only sound, a pulse becoming movement, a soul becoming ground. Before the body, there was only heat, a spark that learned to wander, a force that learned to beat. The shadows start to gather, they twist, they fold, they climb. 1,000 shapes emerging, all reaching for a spine. The earth begins to answer, it hums beneath the skin. A form begins to settle, a future pulling in. No fate to hold, no path to keep, just ancient hunger waking deep. Before the body, there was only sound, a pulse becoming movement, a soul becoming ground. Before the body, there was only heat, a spark that learned to wander, a force that learned to beat. Drums like cracking thunder, the dark begins to shake. Matter folds and fractures, a shape begins to wake. The world is breathing through me, the dark is taking shape. 1,000 forms collapsing into one I might create. The rhythm pulls me forward, it carves me from the deep. A body waits in silence, a promise I will keep. Before the body, there was only sound, a pulse becoming movement, a soul becoming ground. Before the body, there was only heat, a spark that learned to wander, a force that learned to beat. The rhythm keeps on calling, a voice without a name. A body waits in silence, still dancing in the flame. whispers. It carves us from the night. It teaches us to hunger. It teaches us to fight.
We stop
to clear. A spark becomes a signal, and I refuse the fear. A voice inside me, won't I wait but still the truth remains. I walk beyond their boundaries, and nothing stays the same. A whisper drifts around me, a name without a face. The colors start to weaken, the world unfrets its place. The edges blur to nothing, like frost upon the glass. The moments I once carried fall silent as they pass. A shadow moves beside me, but never turns its head. The echoes lose their meaning, their stories left unsaid. The light grows dimmer, the air grows thinner, a fading rhythm inside me shivers. I'm slipping Something calls me back, a life I once remembered falls through a widening crack. The world becomes a whisper, a dim and distant glow. I'm losing all the pieces I thought I'd always know. I'm slipping through the quiet, where voices lose their names. A lantern in the distance burns low beneath the haze. I reach for nothing answers, just echoes turning gray. I've felt fires to recognize, hands drifting far away. The darkness folds around me, a quiet, empty space. I'm drifting into silence, a name without a face. The morning holds its silence, a breath against my skin. The world pretends it's sleeping, but something stirs within. A thought too small to notice, a spark beneath the gray, a truth that waits in shadows, begins to find its way. I walk the line they gave me, a path I used to trust, but every step grows heavier. The edges turn to dust. A quiet voice inside me starts learning how to rise. It trembles like a heartbeat that no one else can recognize. The air grows sharper, the ground grows brighter, quiet leaves its echo, a vow beneath my breath. A spark becomes a signal. I rise and nothing's left. Begins to gather, a tremor in the air. The shadows start to loosen, their edges stripped and bare. A distant choir rises, a promise in the light. The world begins its turning from endless waiting night. Around me, a breath becomes a flame. The weight I carried inward falls off without a name. The sky begins to open, a path begins to rise. A truth I never witnessed unfolds before my eyes. The sky breaks into color, a blaze of living gold. The stories I once buried rise up and take their hold. The world becomes a mirror, reflecting who I am. A force that once was quiet now roars through every strand. The round is shifting, the light is lifting. A hidden power is now ascending. I feel the world expanding, a fire beneath my skin. A thousand distant echoes are calling me within. The dawn becomes a river. It pulls me through the dark. A spark becomes a beacon. A beacon becomes a I feel the world expanding, a fire beneath my skin. A thousand distant echoes are calling me within. The dawn becomes a river. It pulls me through the dark. A spark becomes a beacon. A beacon becomes a spark. The light becomes a promise. The promise becomes the flame. The flame becomes the future. And nothing stays the same. The world begins its turning, a breath becomes the day. The light that breaks within me will never fade away. The world begins to tremble, a heartbeat forged in steel. The shape beneath my surface learns how to finally feel. A shadow once unspoken now rises through my veins. The body I was given breaks free of all its chains. I carve a path through silence, a truth stone. The footsteps gather slowly, no longer walking alone. A voice becomes a signal spreads to flame. The ones who walked in silence now rise and speak their name. The wind begins its turning, it carries every sound. The stories left unspoken are lifted from the ground. A path that once was narrow now widens in the light. The ones who hid in shadow step forward into sight. The drums are calling, the earth is falling. A thousand footsteps become man's we walk the road together, a fire in our stride. The ones who once were scattered now gather at our side. The world begins its waking, its heartbeat shakes the air. The ones who lost their voices return with strength to spare. The fields begin to shimmer, their colors burning gold. The stories we've been carrying are finally being told. A hand reaches for another, a bond begins to form. The ones who once felt broken now stand against the storm. The drums are calling, the earth is falling. A thousand footsteps become uncertain. We walk the road together, a fire in our stride. The ones who once were scattered now gather at our side. The world begins its waking, its heartbeat shakes the air. The ones who lost their voices return with strength to spare. A whisper turns to thunder, a murmur turns to roar. The ones who once were silent are silent now no more. A circle forms around us, a vow begins to rise. Together we are stronger than any past disguise. We walk the road together, a fire in our stride. The ones who once were scattered now gather at our side. The world begins its weekend, its heartbeat shakes the air. The ones who lost their voices return with strength to spare. The path we build together will carry us beyond. A thousand hearts in rhythm, a thousand voices strong. A whisper drifts through starlight, a pulse without a name. The world becomes a memory, a flicker in the flame. The air begins to shimmer, its edges bending wide. The self I once inhabited falls softly to the side. A spectrum breaking free. The edges of my being expand like open sea. A voice that once was singular now echoes into more. 1,000 quiet versions step through a single door. so tightly, releases into air. The pieces fall like stardust, then gather everywhere. A form that once was singular now moves in many ways. A truth beyond the body begins its endless blaze. I drift beyond the boundary, a breath without a frame. The world becomes a river that never flows the same. The self becomes a shimmer, a shimmer becomes sound. I rise within the silence, where all the lost are found. A whisper drifts through starlight, a pulse without a name. The self becomes the cosmos, and nothing stays the same. A quiet light is forming, a shimmer in the haze. The world begins its slowing, its heartbeat gently plays. A whisper drifts beside me, a memory made of air. The path that led me forward now circles everywhere. The dawn unfolds in silence, a glow beneath the sky. The weight of all my journeys falls off as I rise high. The breath I took in darkness returns in gentle grace. A warmth begins to gather and fills the empty space. The light is waking, the world is changing. A quiet rhythm begins its shaping. nothing anymore. Light is awakening. The world is changing. A quiet rhythm becomes unfurling. I feel the morning gather, a calm within my chest. The world becomes a cradle where every soul can rest. The breath that starts the story returns to me again. A circle made of starlight, a place where all things the past becomes a memory. The memory becomes a light. The light becomes a promise that carries through the night. The breath that once was fragile now glows with quiet fire. A spark that keeps on turning, a flame that won't explode. I feel the morning gather, a calm within my chest. The world becomes a cradle where every soul can rest. The breath that starts the story returns to me again. A circle made of starlight, a place where all things move. The dawn unfolds within me, a glow that will not fade. The breath that shaped my journey returns in